But when it comes to my off season, I also like to shift things a little bit and spend a little bit more time with friends and family. And, when we're out training for hours and hours on end, sometimes things get pushed to the side just a little bit. So it's nice to be able to decompress and put a little bit more focus and attention to spending time with friends and family and partners and significant others, doing more date nights, spending time not training and just enjoying the company of others. We're going to talk a little bit about what we are planning. So now that Coach Joy is done with her marathon and Coach Brian's done with a 70.3, Chris may have returned from Kona for his, umpteenth Ironman event, whether racing, spectating, coaching,
volunteering.
I mean, just a man of all trades for long course triathlon. But once we start getting into the months of October, November, December, January, February here in the Midwest, the question that becomes, especially for those that do this for a livelihood, for a wonderful lifetime hobby, is after a race is the question that comes up, which is what's next? Like, what do I do now? Like, what does the off season bring? And I think today would be a good time to chat about a little bit what that is for not only us, but also for what we may recommend to our athletes, depending on what their goals are or what, how much of the sport have they already participated in and or maybe looking forward to doing more of or improving on going into the subsequent season. So for you guys, so Coach Chris, we'll start with you. Like, what are some of the things that you typically look forward to in the off season, if you have one? And then maybe what are the one or two pieces of advice you give your athletes when you're making recommendations or suggestions as to what they should be doing or can be doing in the off season?
Yeah, well, it's funny you mentioned I'm at a lot of Ironman events, or I was at a lot of Ironman events this year, but I just looked over and realized I have not raced an Ironman event this year at all. This is like the first year I haven't actually raced one. I've been spectating and volunteering and doing other things. But actually, one thing I like to do is give back and volunteer. It's a way to stay involved in this sport and still see other people, and that really motivates you. So people are lacking like that motivation of what to do next after your racing season has ended. I encourage volunteerism. Like, I was just out on the bike all day at the Chicago Half Marathon, helping out as a lead bike crew, and got to ride up and down Lakeshore Drive on a closed road all by myself. Got some good training in. So I tend to do a little off-season shift, whether I'm volunteering or just focusing more on single sports, is usually what I like to recommend. For athletes that haven't done a lot of strength training, though, it can be a good time of year to refocus on strength training. Get strong before you go long is the mantra we sometimes say. So I know I need to do that personally to work on my strength training. But usually this time of year, I'll shift focus and either just focus on swimming only for a while, running only for a while, or biking only for a while. And what I try to do is elevate my fitness to a new level in that single sport discipline. So if I have a certain goal, like, hey, I've lost some running fitness recently, so I'm going to start doing some 5Ks and more interval run training to try to get that back up. And then later in the winter, I like to, when, snow's all over the place and the weather outside's not great, I get on the trainer and I just do a lot of indoor training miles. But also for anyone who's not that strong on the swim, this is probably the best time of year to start swimming more. The pools are a little less busy after all the Ironman racing season typically. So it's a good time to be able to get in the pool and focus on your own training. I know here in Chicago, we've got our pool school weekend coming up. Was it October 19th, 20th, the weekend right after the Chicago Marathon, basically. Great time to shift focus.
Full school Ironman World Championship.
Yeah, it'll be a busy October, but a fun one. And those, there's other pool schools kind of like that, but that's a unique format specifically, I'd say, for especially half and full Ironman athletes, or really any triathlete. You spend 8 hours on the pool deck, You don't actually swim that much, but you do a lot of, out of the pool and in the pool technique work. And that can really take your swimming to the next level. Or if people just want to focus on the swim, just make it a goal. Hey, maybe I was only getting in the pool twice a week or maybe only once a week. And so in the off season, maybe bring that up to 3 times a week. Or same thing with running, like try to set a running goal of, hey, I want to get to a certain mileage. It's a good goal that I usually send to all of our Ironman athletes, whether they are kind of building a base for the season ahead or they just want to maintain fitness, is just think about doing, 1 swim, 1 bike, 1 run a week. And if you build that volume up and just kind of stay with that routine, you'll maintain your fitness. You're not going to lose that much. And you'll actually do a good amount of mileage. If you add it up kind of for the average athlete, typically, depending on how far you're going, doing 1 swim, 1 bike, and 1 run a week, you could end up doing a full Ironman in a month. So I kind of put that out there as like a challenge, like, hey, at least for, the month of November, December, see if you can do 2.4 miles of swimming, see if you can do 112 miles of biking. 1 or 2 bike workouts a week will get you there. And 26.2 miles of running, which is basically like a 10K a week. So that could be 1 run or maybe two 5K runs a week or something like that. And that way you're still staying motivated with some type of goal. So, long-winded answer, but yeah, a couple different options I like to give all my folks and myself as well.
No, that's great. I'm going to jump in and just tag on to that format that you suggested, Chris. And with that 1 swim, 1 bike, 1 run option per week is something that I also like to recommend to my athletes, especially when they are transitioning into doing a little bit more strength training during the season, during the off season. And my ideal vision of a week for a lot of them is usually a 3x3. So 3 days of strength training, 3 days of conditioning. So that formulates very well where they get 3 full body workouts, full body strength workouts during the week. So if we're looking at a calendar, it would be like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday of strength, followed by a Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday of some conditioning with a Sunday off day and recovery day. So that fits very well with that type of a format. And they're still maintaining their cardiovascular, their aerobic endurance, while at the same time being able to develop a little bit more of that strength that they may not have gotten much of or had maybe tapered off a little bit more of once they got into their primary race season, especially if it was like August, September, which a lot of us typically anchor as our A races. So I like that format, and I know it definitely makes for a easy transition, kind of like still maintaining that fitness whilst also being able to add some new things. And that strength training could be, also including things like yoga or what our colleague Joy also coaches in Pilates. So there's a lot of things in terms of strength training that can be beneficial for a lot of those athletes. So that being said, Joy, what are you looking forward to after you finish your marathon, and what sort of things do you typically encourage your athletes to do in their off season?
Well, it's kind of interesting because my season actually does not end until December 8th.
Oh, wow.
I have another marathon after Chicago in California, but I know, weird. In the off season, as I said earlier, cycling is actually my weakest. So I literally work on my weakest sport. Swimming and running are my happy places for some bizarre reason. But cycling, I do work on. I still do, yes, I'm the Pilates chick. I still do traditional strength training. I'm doing it twice a week. But I add in a third day in the off season, working a lot more on mobility and getting stronger since I'm up there in age. And do things I normally wouldn't do. This past year, I did High Rocks, which I consider CrossFit light. Actually, I call it CrossFit nice.
Okay. For those that aren't familiar, what is this event, or what is this
training? High Rocks
Uh-huh.
is combining running with strength training. So you have an 8-kilometer run, but is run a kilometer, do a 1,000-meter row. run a kilometer, do 1,000-meter ski erg, which is the coolest cardio machine ever. Add in some burpee broad jumps. The only time I'll do burpees. Farmer's carries, wall balls, things that are walking lunges, things that are functional activities that you have to do in life. Wall balls, all you think about is if you're putting your groceries up or putting, not your groceries, your laundry up on a shelf, something like that. Farmer's carries. If you're like me, I don't drive, but you're carrying your two big heavy bags of groceries like 5 blocks away. So it's fun. It's hard,
How long does
but
it usually take?
about an hour and a half ish.
Perfect.
Like hour and a half, hour 45, depending. You can do it as single event, or you can do it as a doubles event or mixed doubles. Just know if you do mixed doubles, ladies, you have to do the men's weight. Just so
Okay.
you're aware of that.
Gotcha. So they would have to farmer carry the same weight. Is that correct?
Yes. So instead of a 35-pound kettlebells, 50-pound kettlebells.
Gotcha.
Breezy.
Piece of cake.
Yes.
Yeah, and
That sounds like
I think it's a really good way for, an endurance athlete to get into a little more strength training focus. It's still a competition, still a performance thing, but it's something you do have to train for because it's a pretty tough challenge. And they usually have it at least once a year in Chicago. The one here is actually coming up November 16th. So if anyone wants to check that out, it's Hyrox, spelled Hyrox. Hyrox.
Like the Hyrox cookie.
Yeah, and then we will make sure we have the link to that down below in our description.
Yeah.
Great. So Joy, I'll be doing something relatively similar, but without all the 1King and ski erging. So my off season will is actually transitioned already to the full on strength training. So I do a kettlebell PRT event with my wife, or at least we have for the last two. So they do a spring and a fall. So we've done it the last two spring and fall sessions. This will be our third together. And this time actually has a monetary sort of award. So we're excited about that. Although we have heard that some of the more elite athletes that participated in this in the past are coming back around again to compete. So it's going to make it a little bit harder for our team to win again, because we are the defending champs from the last the spring event. So a little extra challenge for us, but looking forward to it. So there is a little bit of endurance in this, except it's a little bit different type of endurance. It's more strength endurance, having to do a 3.5-minute kettlebell snatch, where you have to just do as many as you can in 3.5 minutes, and then also includes a 5 minutes kettlebell complex, where it's a clean push press and then renegade rows, and you just do as many of those as you can in 5 minutes, and that is absolutely terrible. But you do what you got to do, right? But when it comes to my off season, I also like to shift things a little bit, and it allows me, and I'm sure this is the same for a lot of our other, especially long course athletes, is to spend a little bit more time with friends and family. And when we're out training for hours and hours on end, sometimes things get pushed to the side just a little bit. So it's nice to be able to decompress and put a little bit more focus and attention to spending time with friends and family and partners and significant others, doing more date nights, spending time not training and just enjoying the company of others and things like that. I also like to include things like eating more things that I like to eat that might not be on the diets during race season, having maybe an adult beverage or two during the weekend while enjoying college football. So I know since usually my season ends around September, college football starts back up. So that's my favorite thing to do, to sort of like relax and watch. Even though some of my teams decided to give me almost a heart attack on Saturday nights and Sunday afternoons. But it's just some things that we can look forward to. So it's that sort of recommendation that I may have to athletes that are, find some other things outside of triathlon that you can also enjoy, and it could be anything, whether that's, again, spending time with friends and family. If you get done early in the season, attending more sporting events or street fests like we do in Chicago, going out to the movie, just any of those other sort of like more leisurely activities to kind of get your mind out of sports, maybe for a hot minute, because I know when you exit or leave to go do other things, or maybe just get away from it for, a month or two, then, that sort of desire is able to be reinvigorated. And then you're like, okay, I've had some time off. I've enjoyed it. And now it's almost like once you get into the new year and you start seeing other people, and then you start talking to your friends and your other, folks within our triathlon community, and they start talking about the races that they're signing up for, you start getting that bug again, and that's exciting. And it's like, okay, great, I'm ready to get back to it. And you get the incitement back, and it allows you to, I think it prevents a little bit of that burnout that sometimes people can get when you're just constantly trying to go from just one race to the other. Having a little bit of time apart, maybe distance meets the heart growth line. Great. Any other parting thoughts or ideas or suggestions as it relates to those that are looking ahead or looking forward to or looking for ideas in their off season this season?
Yeah, I've got, so one thing I generally will do, to geek out a little bit when I do like metabolic testing, and I look at somebody's numbers, and then I decide, okay, what should I recommend for them to do? Like if they're in the off season versus the on season. And, typically we talk about like a single sports focus in an area of weakness. If you want to get stronger, maybe do strength training 3 days a week, or if you want to get better on the swim, do swimming 3 times a week. Because when you do that higher frequency, you improve a lot. And so I used to actually use our 312 area code as the motivation. So I think we should use that for this. Try 312. You have to pick one thing that you're going to do 3 times a week. So whatever you want to work on, strength training, swim training, at least one day a week, you need to do something completely different, something fun, something different. And then 2 days a week, just some easy cardio, like zone 2 training, keep your mental health, keep your physical health, work on that, health span. If you want to work on your zone 2 and develop that mitochondrial density and all that, good stuff. But I think we should ask people to post or comment, if we're putting this content out there. Let us know, what are you going to do? What thing are you going to do 3 days a week to, try to focus on building, whether it's strength swim or a single sport. And then what's the fun thing you're going to do at least once a week? In addition to maybe, at least do 2 days of cardio to maintain your fitness. So I'd be curious to see what everyone has for their Try 312 formula for the off season.
And maybe, Chris, what we can do is sort of start that initiative, not only here, but maybe also on the rest of our socials, where the 3 of us can start, and some of our other fellow colleagues and coaches that can sort of showcase their like little 1-minute video of like, what is their 312? What is their, the 3 days a week of something new, and then, or that you're going to focus on that. So what is it again? So 3 is the what?
Yeah. So, if you think about, if you want to improve in an area, if you do something once a week, you'll maintain your fitness. Maybe if you do it twice a week, you might gradually build. But if you really want to improve in something, you have to increase that frequency, like swimming, especially, but really, any type of sport or skill.
3-day a week is going to be the thing that you're going to focus on in the off season.
What's your focus? And then for your mental health, you need to do at least one thing that's fun. It can be different. It can be like, for me, I want to try to go to the movies once a week. I want to go, catch up on some movies I haven't seen, just kind of get some time to literally put the feet up and, get the recliner seats and maybe order some good food in the dine-in theater. That's my goal in the off season. I usually try to have one day where I just unplug, do something different, veg out, just have fun, go do something social. And then, but you don't want to lose your fitness and all your other, your cardio fitness. So at least 2 days of usually, easy cardio workouts is something I generally encourage everyone to at least maintain through the off season. So What's your focus? What's your fun? And then, at least see if you can do 2 days of good cardio to maintain your fitness.
Awesome. Okay. Well, let's start that up. Let's see how much we can encourage and also motivate the rest of our Tri312 community here in the greater Chicagoland area of what they can do for their off season. And if this something is motivating enough and they get a chance to participate and showcase maybe something that they do themselves and we're able to highlight and broadcast back out to the community. Maybe give somebody else another idea or a fun new challenge that they can incorporate into their off season. So thank you for that, sir. With that being said, that is our time today, and hope to get some more of these great race recaps after the Chicago Marathon, the Ironman World Championships. We'll hopefully have a little bit more information and a little bit more of a sort of like a hands-on recap from the Ironman World Championship, thanks to Coach Chris, who he and Coach Shelley may be actually out there themselves this year for the Ironman World Championships, assuming they get their flight booked anytime soon. And then we'll have a little bit of that, and then all more fun conversation about other key things in the off season and things that we will be organizing through Tri312 going into the winter months and things that we can anticipate and get excited for 2025. So with that being said, for me, Coach Brian, Coach Joy, Coach Chris, guys, thank you so much for the chat today. And we will see you guys back again for our next multi-sport minute.